Laura Cully, Hypnotherapy. So today I would like to talk about confidence and the best way to develop confidence. I did ask yesterday what sort of things that you've done, that you've practiced over and over again, that perhaps used to make you anxious, used to make you feel nervous, but now you do quite confidently, perhaps without even thinking about it. Because that is a lot of it, isn't it? Anything that we do that is new, that we've never done before, of course you're not going to have that confidence. And it's easy to try something once and feel a bit uncomfortable and think, right, I'm not doing that again. So one of the things that I thought of, which I was surprised actually that nobody else mentioned, but was driving. I don't know if you can remember learning to drive, but I still remember it very, very clearly. And those first few lessons, having to, work the pedals and change gear and steer and look at what was going on around you and know where you were going, and it just felt so overwhelming. And I can remember thinking on those first few lessons, I'm never going to be able to do this, it's just too much. And that feeling of, perhaps I should just give this up as a bad job, this is just too hard, I can't do it. But then of course we all know the more you do it, and even when I started driving, you still have that anxiety, I think, but it was quite a long time ago now. Now you don't even think about changing gear, you don't think about putting a foot on the brake or the accelerator, and you're much more focused on what's going on around you, and it all starts to come naturally. And the more you do it, the more you build that confidence. You start to prove to yourself, I can do this, and it's fine. It's whereas when you're sitting just imagining all the things that can go wrong, it's so easy to put yourself off, isn't it? And just have do that catastrophizing in your mind, imagine everything going really, really badly, all the things that could go wrong, and putting yourself off. But actually sometimes just getting out there and doing it is the best thing. So other things that people have said, somebody said playing a musical instrument, that the first time they tried it, it was just hopeless. They thought, oh well, I'm never going to be able to play to anybody, everyone's just going to laugh at me, I'm going to fail. And of course they play it, they don't even think about it. So some of the things that people said yesterday, so somebody said standing up teaching, so teaching a group, and at first that is really nerve-wracking. I can remember when I started teaching, and the first time being left with sort of 30, 4 and 5-year-olds, being in that classroom on my own, thinking, oh my goodness, they're really trusting me with all these children. And it was quite anxiety-inducing to start with, but after a while, I'd go in every morning, wouldn't even think about it, and have a new class every September, get to know them, and it just became completely natural to be there with all those children. And in the end, I loved being on my own with the children. So social interactions, another thing that people say that perhaps they used to feel nervous about, used to make them anxious, but over time just becomes easier. But again, it's one of those things that you have to do. You have to go out there and do it. You have to get over that fear and that anxiety and prove to yourself that you can do it, and that people do want to listen to you, that you do have things worth saying. In relation to that, a lot of people said public speaking, which is such a common one, really, really common phobia actually. And again, it's just getting out there and doing it, because you can sit and practice and you can imagine all the worst case scenarios, get yourself really anxious, really worked up about it, and then just decide you're not going to do it. Or you get so anxious that you do start to stumble over your words, you do it, you hate it, that's it, I'm never doing that again. So somebody else said eating alone in a restaurant, which is an interesting one, isn't it? Because again, that's something that a lot of people struggle with, just going out eating in a restaurant, even just going out doing something by themselves. Especially when you're used to going out with a lot of other people, suddenly having to go out by yourself. And if you do lose confidence for some reason, or you do suffer with anxiety, it's quite a difficult thing to do, just going out and doing things by yourself. But again, she'd obviously overcome that by just going out and doing it and realising that actually it's fine. So the problem is so many people give up, don't they? They try something once, they don't enjoy it, or they feel they're not very good at it, and they just give up. But people who succeed have been through all that. They didn't, very, very few people are an overnight success. And when you think of people like J.K. Rowling, who I think it was 12 publishers rejected her, and she could have so easily just thought, well, this book that I've got obviously is not all that good. I thought it was, but obviously everybody's telling me that it's not very good, they don't want it, and she could just burnt that, and that would have been the end of it. But of course she didn't, she kept going. And we think about the Beatles were rejected by Decca when they first got together, but they had such self-belief, they had that self-confidence, they loved what they were doing, they believed in themselves, and they just kept going. And I think I actually read that they weren't all that great to begin with, but because they just believed in themselves, they kept going, they got better and better and better. And of course now very few people on the planet don't know who the Beatles are. So think about Edison as well, and I love some of his quotes, and I quite often share them, so I've written them down just to make sure I get them right. But the first one, I've not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work, which I really love, and I often think about that when things aren't going so well, that just maybe adapt and change things, or just keep going, just keep trying, because it's quite often that stage where you give up, where you are so close to becoming a success. And most successful people, if you read their books and listen to them, this is what they will tell you. And another one of his, our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time. And I really like that one too. So of course other people will tell you to give up. It's important to develop that resilience and that self-confidence, because quite often that needs to come from within. And people outside will say, oh well, you tried. Well, especially when it's something like starting a business. Well, why don't you just go and get a job? Or for me as well, why don't you just go back to teaching? This isn't going to work, is it? And listen to the people that are saying that to you, because quite often it is the people that have failed themselves, or they've just never even tried. It's very rare that successful people will say these things to you. They will give you tips and they will encourage you to keep going. So developing that inner confidence and resilience is important as well, and that's something that I help with. So you need to, and I find it's sad really with people who have, especially with imposter syndrome, they don't have that, and they look for outside validation all the time. They don't have that inner confidence or that inner voice that's saying to them, just keep going, we're doing all right, don't listen, and they can keep themselves going. They look for outside of themselves, and when they don't get that, or when people are negative, it has a really, really tough impact. It's about developing that inner confidence as well. And so what I do is kind of a combination of both. So helping you through hypnosis to develop that inner confidence, to either think back to a time when you felt confident, or imagine somebody that you think of as really confident, or somebody that's doing something really well, and imagine how they're feeling and really start to feel that. And then keeping that with you. So then going out there, doing it, because unless you're actually going out and putting this stuff into practice, it's not going to work. You will start to tell yourself those scary stories again. So then you actually have to go out and do it and prove to yourself that, yeah, actually this is okay. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I often get people to imagine themselves inside a bubble. So another thing I'll get people to do is imagine themselves inside this kind of shield, this protection. And imagine that any of that negativity is just pinging off. So you're not going to let it in. You're going to keep that self-confidence going, and just any negative thoughts from other people that you're picking up, any negative words that people are saying, just imagine it just pinging off, and just send it back to them, because quite often it's theirs. It's nothing to do with you. This is their thing that they are projecting onto you. So just reflect it back on them. Okay, so the other thing I would say is to keep your goals in mind, and because you need that. You need to keep this vision of what you want. Unless you know exactly what you want, down to the finest detail, then it just makes life harder. If you're not sure what you want and where you're going, makes it much, much harder to just keep pushing forward. Because especially starting a business, those of you who run your own businesses will know this. It is really not easy. It's not the easy option. It's not, oh, I don't want to work for somebody else anymore. I want to make my own hours and, just work part-time. I'll just start my own business. It's really not that easy. It is hard work, and it's long hours. But focusing on your goals can just keep you going. And the other thing I would say is that unless you believe in yourself, and you really believe in you and what you do, that you are good at what you do, that the product or the service that you're selling is really good, then other people aren't going to believe in you either. So you need to develop that. You need to really start to feel that, to be able to sell it, to be able to convince other people that this could really help you. This product, this service that I've got here is absolutely perfect for you, and to believe it, to know that that is true, to be able to then pass that message on. Okay, so I will leave it there, guys. If you want to get in touch, then please do. I will put in the comments, I'll put a link to a strategy call. We can have 45 minutes, have a really good chat. So if you're struggling with some of these things and you would like some help, please do get in touch with me. So have a really good day, and I will be back to speak to you soon. Bye.